Alright, so this is basic Hakama maintenance for people that have Hakamas. If you have a really expensive Hakama, I wouldn't recommend necessarily doing it this way. This is just a simple way you can do it. As you can see, I have an elevated, I have the Hakama hanging up elevated, so I can use a steam machine to press the pleats. It's not really to press the pleats. It's more simply to get the salt out of the fabric. So this is a cheap Ibogu Hakama, probably like, I don't know, 60 bucks, maybe 50 bucks years ago. I've just always steamed it to keep the salt out of it because you don't want to wash it and then it gets really wrinkled. What I'm using is a really small Conair steamer. I think it costs maybe 30 bucks. Works really good. You just steam it. I'll show you the before and after. This is the before. The Hakama hanging up, you can see it starts to come, the fabric starts to come back to life once you steam it. And you're just gonna do broad strokes like such, being careful not to get the steam on your hand because it really burns. So you're just gonna use broad strokes on the Hakama itself, holding it down. And you'll see the fabric start to renew, start to refresh. The smell will leave, the salt will come out, and you just take about, I don't know, 20 minutes to do a Hakama really decently, and then you should be fine. And then I'll show you towards the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to put the pleats back in using a simple I don't know what you call those things, but it presses hair, a hair flattener, straightener, something like that. That's what you're going to use to put the pleats back in. And then once you fold it back up from once it's been steamed, it will hold its creases a lot better, and the fabric won't be as salty and sweaty, so you won't have to worry about it bunching up. You won't have to worry about it stinking. And this is just a simple way to do it. If you don't want to use the water, the 2 cups of vinegar in the tub method, if you don't have an indigo dyed Hakama, it kind of defeats the purpose. So if you have a cheap Hakama like I do for daily practice, this is one technique of cleaning it. Alright, so now we're doing the back of the Hakama. We flipped it and turned it over to the other side. So make sure we're doing long strokes on the back of the Hakama. Make sure you pay attention to the bottom, because that's where a lot of the dirt gets stuck, on the bottom of it. They're just going in and out, nice and slow strokes. That way it, or up and down, nice and slow strokes. That way you get all the steam on the fabric. And don't worry, like this cheap Conair steamer really can't hurt the fabric. I mean, you'd have to hold it there for minutes for it to hurt the fabric. So you don't have to worry about damaging the polyester or whatever it is type of Hakama that you have. It really does a wonderful job of taking the smell out of the Hakama, taking the salt out, and any blemishes that you might have from kneeling in Sankyo or turning to face shomen or anything like that. It takes the blemish out, so the light blue blemish, it'll come out with the steam. So that's another good technique of using, another good reason why steam is a good technique. So so yeah, this is the a flat iron. Yeah, that's what they call this. This is just a basic I don't know, maybe this thing cost maybe 10 bucks or so. But my wife visited me in Korea when I was in Korea, and she left it. And since it has ceramic, or it's either micarta or ceramic, I don't know which one, but since it has the inserts that are really easy to clean, it is the best, or one of the easiest ways to do the individual pleats on a Hakama instead of doing an iron, because when you lay it down on the ironing board, you'd have to have it folded perfect in order to hit in each individual pleat. When you do it hanging up with the flattening iron, you can do it while it's hanging up, and then after you're done, you can just fold it onto this long table, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this table, and I can fold it up perfect and then put it away perfect. That way it retains the shape. And then it'll also retain the shape, and it'll also retain the fold, so that it'll be like brand new. So after we do the steaming and then we do the flat iron, it basically comes right back to new. And I'll show you the finished product. So you're just gonna slide the flattening iron in between the pleats and press down, and you just kind of pull it gently down, and it will heat up the pleat, and you will have a crisp pleat instead of a faint pleat, as in some of the worn Hakamas are. You just got to work with it a little bit, move it back and forth, up and down, check it, move inside of each pleat, and press it down, and towards the end it'll look really good. It'll look like new. It'll be crisp, like your Hakama should be for testing. If you're gonna test for a Dan rank or you're gonna test for a Q rank, you're just gonna go to a testing period. You want to have the best looking Hakama that you can. So if you can't afford to buy a new Hakama every time you test, steam and cheap $10 curling iron, the pink zebra skin Avon curling iron will do wonders for it. You don't always have to wash it before if you don't want to wash it to get the salt out. That's what the steam is there for. You can steam it out. But a lot of people do that have indigo, or they have actual indigo in it. A lot of people fold them up and put them in a bathtub and step on them, squish them out. That's a technique too. But this is just a hasty technique. I'll spend maybe 20 minutes on it, and then it'll look really good for about 10-20 practices, and then you just go back into it, steam it again, and it'll you just keep it up, keep the maintenance up on it, and it'll look really nice. So you can see I'm just pressing each individual pleat while I pull down on the bottom of the fabric. I pull down on the pleat to make sure I have a straight line, and I just apply the heat to probably every 6 or 8 inches or so as I pull down. And then once I get it good, and once I get the fabric to open up, then as I just pull it down, hold it down as I'm coming down, as the crease will, the fabric will start to remember what it's supposed to do. That way you'll have a really tight crease coming down, and the Hakama will start to look like new again. Please forgive my zebra pink, super feminine, what is this thing called? Flat iron. Hey, my wife left it. It was free, so I'm gonna use the tools that I have to do what I need to do. So you're just gonna go up and follow each pleat stay to from where it starts at the top to the bottom, and then you're gonna the inner one on the right hand side is tricky. You're gonna have to grab the bottom and pull down because the way our bodies are designed and the way the fabric is, this one has a tendency to fold over. So you're gonna have to grab at the bottom and hold it, and you're gonna have to do both sides of the fabric to retrain the fabric, the memory in the fabric to hold tight and to hold its shape. So you're gonna have to emphasize on the bottom on the two most inner pleats so that they stay forward and they don't open up, because our legs are pushing the fabric constantly as we practice. They're constantly pushing it open. So you want to make sure that you focus on that part. It'll really take a beautiful, it'll really get a really nice line once you start doing it really good. You'll start to see that the fabric starts to remember what it's supposed to do, and you'll start to see it take shape and start to come back to looking like it used to look when you first got it, however old your Hakama may be. And then you just really want to just keep pulling down on the fabric as you apply the heat. Make sure your hands are clean too, because a lot of times you can put salt right back into it after you steamed it. You don't want to do that. And then at the bottom, you want to put the fabric together, hold the fabric together at the bottom, because that's how it folds when you fold it for storage. And you want to hold it in that position also. And you're just gonna keep messing with it until you decide, hey, it's beer 30. I've worked on this thing for 20 minutes. It looks good. It looks better than what it did. And then you'll go ahead and you'll call it a day. So those are ways that you can work on your Hakama with a nice donated pink zebra skin, super feminine pink zebra pattern, super feminine flat iron, a steamer, and a cheap $50 Ibo Hakama. Thanks. So I hope you can see the how the pleats came back. As you can see, I don't know how much detail you'll be able to see with the lighting in my apartment, but you can see how the crispness in the fabric starts to open back up once you steam it. And as you have it hanging, anything dirty out of the steam will fall down to the bottom. So when you start applying your heat, the weight of the Hakama pulls down, and what you should wind up having is a really good, the pleat should be really definite and pronounced. So then at that point, once you have that done, all you need to do is you need to take it and go ahead and fold it, get it on a flat surface, and get a stick or something to go in from the bottom and separate your pleats so that you start off with a fresh fold, because now that the fabric has the memory back in it, you don't want to you don't want to overlap the memory. You want to go with the memory you just heated up. So when you fold it, you need to pay close attention to that, or else you'll have what they call a double crease. You'll have a double crease somewhere in the Hakama, and that's just going to make you do it over again, and you'll start moving the crease. And once you start moving the crease, you'll have a big white line start to show up. Now, on a cheap $40, $50 Ibogu or wherever you bought it, Hakama, Korean, Chinese Hakama, it's not really going to matter. But for some of you that have really nice Hakama, $150, $200 Hakama with indigo dye or something like that, yeah, you want to be careful about how you do this, because you're gonna move the memory if you don't do it correctly, or you know, kind of spend some time taking your time doing it. So just that's just some things that you could do to bring your Hakama back to normal instead of buying another one, or if you don't have two to switch out. These are just some of the things that you can do. So Conair, $30, $40 steamer, you get it at Walmart. It's no, you know, I use it for my cote also. I use it for the part in the men, the chin that gets a lot of sweat. Also alongside the face, you can put the steam right on the inside of the men. It's no big deal, and just hang your Hakama and do it that way. And it, instead of washing it every time you wash it, because when you wash it and you use soap, even if you use mouth soap, you debride a lot of salt out of the fabric, but you also loosen the fabric. You loosen the weaving of the fabric, so it protects less and less and less. I know a lot of people won't agree with that, but that's just the way fabric works. It's just like when you wash a shirt. You wash a shirt 150 times, the shirt is tattered. The fabric starts to give way as you prolong the wash, whereas in steam, goes straight through to the fabric and it's hot, so it keeps the woven nature of the fabric more intact. So it's just something you can do to offset to maintenance your stuff. So, and it's cheap, you know, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Like I said, some people don't have the really expensive indigo dyed stuff, so this is just a way that you can offset some of that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. This is just one of the ways that I like to keep my stuff fresh. And here's the end result after all pleats have been rememorized or heat applied. As you can see, each one is definite. You can definitely see each crease. There's no mistaking where they are and where they need to be. If you look at the bottom, you should see sharp edges on the bottom. And once we fold it up, the memory will remain for about, I don't know, 10, 12 practices, depending on how hard you go and how much salt you put in, if you're hydrated or not. And then you just go through and repeat the process. Alright, so this is the Hakama laid out, all ready to be folded. You can see the pleats are definite, nice and sharp and crisp. Yep, there we go. Alright, you can see all that done. And if you look at the ends here, this is real important. You want to make sure that your ends, or the bottom of your Hakama, that all your folds are correct. That they're not, the memory of it is not resting on the wrong area. It's not doesn't have any what's that word I'm looking for? Obstructions. So like on the bottom right here, you want to make sure everything is pulled straight so that you won't have no issues once you actually complete your fold. Alright? So you want to start from a solid base, from everything being nice and taut or in the memory. It doesn't have to be taut or tight, but as long as it's in the memory of where you started it from. If you can see the folds right here, you can see the way that it's supposed to be, where it rests, where each pleat rests. You want to just make sure that you're pulling it together the right way. So we got the finished product. I don't like to do that fancy knot that a lot of people, that when you get them, or that a lot of people do. It takes too much time for me to do that, so I just fold them on top of each other, nice and flat. And then when I put it back in my bogu bag, I have a separation, like a piece of plastic that goes against the wall that keeps the Hakama from the kekogi so that it stays flat. So what this is gonna go, where this is gonna go is under my mattress until next Sunday, which will be practice after I celebrate the Sabbath. Gotta keep it legal, keep it lawful. And then this will be underneath the mattress where I sleep, so it'll get about a week's worth of weight to reinforce the fabric also where the pleats need to be. Then once I pull it out, it'll be nice and crisp, and then we'll be good to go.